live in interesting times. Today's stories. Kenyans protest the bid to build East Africa's first coal plant. Could aerosol chemotherapy offer new hope to cancer patients? Farmers inspect the damage after locust swarm decimates crops in Sardinia. Water tankers a lifeline for India's parched villages. Hong Kong protesters are defiant at barricades after nightfall. Mexico's foreign minister says a special plan to curb migration has started. President Trump and Duda take part in a signing ceremony after F-35 DEAA. Trump Jr. says there was nothing to change as he leaves Congress after a closed-door testimony. Plus, Euro-Asia Shorts 2019. Weaving cultures together, one tale at a time. Hello everyone, I'm Anna Kui bringing you stories from around the globe. And this is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Scores of Kenyans on Wednesday protested against the project to build a coal power station near the Lamu Archipelago, a popular tourist spot that includes a UNESCO World Heritage Site and boasts vibrant marine life. The power station, which has been in the planning stages for about 6 years, has faced fierce resistance from activists and local communities, and the National Environmental Tribunal is to rule on June 24 on the fate of the project. A group of about 200 protesters carrying black coffins emblazoned with white skulls, as well as a miniature chimney spewing smoke, marched through downtown Nairobi on Wednesday, chanting, "Coal is poisonous."
To know that Kenyans want renewable energy projects because not just for the community where they're going to suffer from all these other impacts, but also because it's Kenyans that are going to be bearing the cost of paying all these millions of dollars of shillings to the few people that are bringing these projects. And therefore, if they have this plant and they've committed the money, they have to be paid to the extent of about 360 million at the very least US dollars every year. That's about 1 million US dollars a day for an energy electricity development plant that we're not needing it. And we're not even talking about the other impact, the environmental concerns, the pollution, among other issues that we have.
We are operating actually in an energy surplus here in Kenya, and our industrial consumption of power is actually, the demand of it is met already. We actually don't need extra investments around fossil fuels. And there's actually the capacity for Kenya to invest in renewable energy.
However, the government sees it as a way to spur economic growth, create jobs, and ensure Kenya's energy supply in the future. The bulk of the $2 billion project is being financed by China, and it will be built by Amu Power, a joint venture between a Kenyan firm and Gulf Energy. Construction will be carried out by China Power Global. Campaigners are also alarmed over Kenya's rising debt, which currently stands at around $50 billion, of which over $6 billion is owed to China.
When the time they started digging to extend the depth, many sea turtle died, many lobster died, a lot of fish, and also there's a pollution of water pollution. So like before, maybe when you put one net, you can get maybe 500 kilo. But now you put maybe 10 net, you can get maybe only 100 kilo. So the incoming also going down.
Aerosol chemotherapy is still being tested, but so far has produced promising results for patients with certain cancers, causing fewer side effects while also being suitable for the weakest patients. It is being trialed in Dijon at the Georges François Leclerc Center.
Du premier cancer de l'estomac, oui, c'était quelque chose de difficile, et avant et après, en nausée, en perte d'appétit, en perte de goût, en perte de tout. En perte de... faut avoir la foi et avoir envie de vivre et de s'accrocher. Alors que là, ça se passe naturellement. Je connaissais absolument pas. D'ailleurs, il y a peu de gens qui connaissaient. Hein. Quand j'en ai parlé à mon médecin traitant, il a écarquillé les yeux. Il en a parlé, m'a-t-il dit, à ses confrères. Puis après, ils m'ont demandé des explications et j'ai demandé au centre des prospectus que je leur distribuais. Mais aujourd'hui, c'est quelque chose de très peu connu.
Donc c'est un traitement de la carcinose péritonéale, donc qui est une atteinte du péritoine. C'est une membrane qui est située à la surface des organes qui sont dans le ventre et qui consiste à donc faire de la chimiothérapie sous forme d'un aérosol pendant une cystoscopie directement dans la cavité abdominale pour traiter les lésions au plus près et directement à leur contact. Le premier avantage, c'est d'aller traiter les lésions directement à leur contact et donc d'augmenter la concentration de chimiothérapie au niveau des lésions et donc d'espérer une meilleure efficacité. Et le deuxième avantage, c'est la faible toxicité de la chimiothérapie qui passe très peu dans le sang et qui donc entraîne peu d'effets indésirables, voire pas d'effets indésirables. L'intérêt de cette technique, c'est qu'on peut la proposer chez des patients pour lesquels on est en impasse thérapeutique complète, où on n'a aucun autre traitement à leur proposer. Et donc, ça permet de leur faire un traitement qui est efficace dans un bon nombre de cas et avec une faible toxicité. Les principaux cancers qu'on peut traiter, en premier lieu, c'est le cancer de l'ovaire, qui est très pourvoyeur de carcinose péritonéale, et les cancers digestifs, au premier rang desquels le cancer colorectal et le cancer de l'estomac.
Millions of locusts have devastated at least 2,000 hectares of crops in Sardinia. Italian Farmers Union Calderetti said Monday, with experts calling the invasion the worst in 6 decades. Calderetti said in a statement that most affected areas are Nuoro, Otana, and Orani in the middle of the Mediterranean island, with many areas blanketed by the insects.
Bisogna investire sull'agricoltura perché oggi più che mai emerge che gli agricoltori sono il presidio del territorio. Quando vengono a mancare loro abbiamo le cavallette, gli incendi, quindi chiediamo un piano agricolo serio che guardi avanti negli anni. Non bisogna pensare all'emergenza, ma non possiamo vivere ogni anno con le emergenze. Cioè, i cambiamenti climatici non sono più lontani, non lo vediamo solo in televisione, sono arrivati da noi, sono qua. L'abbiamo vissuto appunto, ripeto, con la siccità, l'abbiamo vissuto con le troppe piogge e oggi lo viviamo con le cavallette. C'è tutto il mondo che ci sta guardando perché abbiamo un qualcosa che avevamo dimenticato. Oggi quindi bisogna intervenire, bisogna investire seriamente sull'agricoltura. E speriamo che almeno le cavallette, con i danni che hanno portato, che almeno però aprano gli occhi a chi di dovere e appunto ci segua in un programma agricolo serio.
Entomologist Ignacio Flores told La Stampa Daily the locust invasion is the worst in the area in 60 years.
Global warming incide un po' sulla biologia degli insetti e sulla loro distribuzione, sui loro areali di distribuzione. Questa è una specie che è presente in Sardegna, quindi non è stata introdotta. Tuttavia questi tipi di andamenti climatici e l'aumento della temperatura sono fattori che favoriscono il processo di desertificazione dei suoli, quindi l'aridità, la siccità, fenomeni che direttamente favoriscono anche il ciclo di sviluppo di questi insetti.
The insect explosion is linked to a sharp rise in temperatures after a relatively cold May, with many of the young insects emerging from uncultivated land. Cultivating land for crops discourages the insects laying their eggs in autumn and prevents them reaching maturity in the summer warmth. Calderetti said the locusts emerge on uncultivated land, but then they go to cultivated land to eat, adding that there is no current solution to the invasion.
Il problema principale è che chi fa agricoltura si è ritrovato con i campi praticamente divorati da questi insetti e chi fa allevamento praticamente il pascolo è venuto a mancare e sta venendo a mancare per gli animali. Quindi sicuramente una perdita economica, in quanto tra un po' ci dovremo acquistare dei foraggi e mangimi dall'esterno della...
Water tankers, a lifeline for India's parched villages. Government-run water tankers operate in an area around 60 miles from India's financial capital, Mumbai. The tankers run 7 days a week between March and June, when water is at its scarcest in India. As Gajanan Decree parks the water tanker in a drought-stricken Indian village, dozens of locals, mostly women in saris, come running with jerry cans, buckets, and stainless steel pots. Over the next 2 hours, Decree helps them empty the 3,170-gallon tank, providing a lifeline to this small community as India reels from one of its worst droughts in years. 41-year-old Decree says they are working overtime. Decree conducts 4 rounds of deliveries a day to hamlets around Shashapur in the parched western state of Maharashtra. Decree is one of 37 drivers operating government-run water tankers in the area.
तसं चांगलं वाटतंय म्हणजे मनाला थोडंसं सुकून मिळतंय पर आता इथं आमची म्हणजे ड्रायव्हर लोकांची पण अशी अडचण आहे की भयंकर अडचण आहे इथं एकतर जेवणाची सोय नाही दुसरी गोष्ट टॉयलेटला जायला सोय नाही लघवीला जायला सोय नाही असं म्हणजे सगळं उघड्यावर आहे आणि महत्त्वाचं म्हणजे संध्याकाळचा मुक्काम पण म्हणजे गाडीतच झोपावं लागतं आम्हाला इतक्या गरमीत फॅन नाही मग आता आम्ही ओव्हरटाईम करतोय रात्री 3 वाजता उठतोय संध्याकाळी आम्हाला 7:30-8 वाजता फेऱ्या मारून यायला.
The tankers run 7 days a week between March and June when water is at its scarcest in India. The Asian giant's hot season has been particularly harsh this year, with temperatures rising above 122 degrees Fahrenheit in Rajasthan state. According to the Indian Meteorological Department, or IMD, almost half of India, an area home to more than 500 million people, is facing drought-like conditions because of deficient pre-monsoon rainfall. In Shakarpada village, water levels in the well are dangerously low, meaning villagers are relieved to see Decree roll in, attach a hose to the back of the tanker, and start to fill up everyone's vessels.
पाणी पडून दे आम्हाला पाणी भेटून दे एवढेच आम्हाला आभार भेटून दे असं मग आम्ही हांडा घेतो आणि विहिरीवर जातो तेव्हा डोक्यावर पाणी घेऊन येतो.
The village's 98 families survive on agriculture, growing mostly rice and vegetables that they sell at markets in nearby cities. During drought, there is no water for agriculture or livestock. Falling groundwater levels and poor irrigation techniques mean they are overly reliant on India's June to September southwest monsoon, which provides the country with most of its annual rainfall. 3 of the last 5 monsoons have been deficient, and while the IMD is predicting a normal monsoon this year, it is already a week late, and that worries farmers.
घरात आंघोळीला पाणी नाही जनावर आहेत काही कांची त्यांना पाणी नाही भेटत परत भाजीपाला करतात त्यांना नाही पाणी भेटत.
Decree will keep delivering water until the monsoon is in full swing in Maharashtra, likely by the end of the month. Every night, he and his colleagues sleep in their vehicles where the tankers are lined up on wasteland beside a river. They wake at 3 a.m. and fill the tanks with water from the dammed river nearby. They pour in chlorine and head to the parched villages. They come back, fill up, and head out again. Often, Decree doesn't finish his rounds until 7:30 p.m. He says it is hard work, but his heart feels good because he is helping others. Coming up, Hong Kong protesters are defiant at barricades after nightfall. Mexico's foreign minister says a special plan to curb migration has started. President Trump and Duda take part in the signing ceremony after F-35 DEAA. Trump Jr. says there was nothing to change as he leaves Congress after a closed-doors testimony. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will be right back. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Thousands remain on main roads of Hong Kong's central business district, despite police's deployment of tear gas and rubber bullet earlier in the day, in angry demonstrations against the controversial Beijing-backed plan to allow extraditions to China. Hong Kong was rocked Wednesday by the worst political unrest since its handover to China, as police fired tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse protesters who tried to storm Parliament and block roads in the financial hub. Clashes broke out hours after tens of thousands of people seized key arteries in the morning rush hour and surrounded the city's parliament, forcing lawmakers to postpone a debate on the proposed law. Local broadcaster RTHK reported health authorities said more than 70 people were injured. Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam, who is championing the law's passage, described the protests as organized riots and called for calm to be restored. She said in a video statement, the rioting actions that damage peaceful society, ignoring law and discipline, is unacceptable for any civilized societies. International concern grew, with the European Union saying that Hong Kong rights need to be respected, while U.S. President Donald Trump said he hoped the protesters can work it out with Beijing. Police earlier used tear gas, rubber bullets, and batons to battle crowds of black-clad demonstrators, most of them young people and students, demanding authorities scrap the Beijing-backed law. The scenes echoed the pro-democracy umbrella movement of 2014, where protesters calling for greater democratic rights shut down swaths of the city for 2 months and battled police, but won no concessions from Beijing. This time, police appeared determined not to let protesters hold any ground, while the young demonstrators responded in kind, hurling projectiles including metal poles, bottles, and bricks. Tear gas sent the crowd scattering, but riot police continued to fight cat and mouse battles with their opponents into the evening, pushing them down towards the city's commercial center and bringing it to a standstill. Wounded police and protesters were seen being carried away, and Hong Kong's stock market was also hurt, closing down 1.7% Wednesday. Mexico's Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard said during a press conference that a special plan to control migration on Mexico's southern border has begun, as agreed with the U.S. government.
Para cumplir el objetivo de que la Guardia Nacional esté desplegada con el respaldo de Ejército y Marina también en los próximos días, que fue el compromiso que hicimos y se va a cumplir. Podríamos decir que ya estamos en la fase de implementación del plan especial.
Es reconocer que hubo disposición de parte del gobierno estadounidense, reconocer de que hubo voluntad de parte del presidente Trump.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Polish President Andrzej Duda take part in a signing ceremony at the White House. Poland is buying more than 30 U.S. F-35 warplanes. President Donald Trump announced Wednesday at White House talks with his Polish counterpart Andrzej Duda the United States is considering sending 2,000 more troops to Poland, while stopping short of promising a permanent presence. Trump said the additional U.S. troops would be moved to Poland from fellow NATO member Germany, but cautioned that the discussions had not been finalized. He said they're talking about 2,000 troops. Around 5,000 U.S. troops currently rotate in and out of Poland. According to Trump, Poland is offering to build a Ward-class base for the U.S. troops, and he said this would be a statement. But he poured cold water on this Polish ally's hopes for a full-blown permanent U.S. facility, something that would irritate the Kremlin and almost certainly prompt a Russian response. Trump said, quote, "I don't talk about permanence or not permanence." Trump said Poland was ordering more than 30 F-35 combat aircraft. In a highly unusual move, 2 of the advanced planes flew over the White House during Duda's visit to show off their moves. On a separate issue at the heart of European-Russia tensions, Trump criticized Germany for what he said was over-reliance on Moscow for energy supplies. He said it really makes Germany a hostage to Russia, suggesting that he was considering sanctions aimed at blocking the huge new Russian-led natural gas pipeline dubbed Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline. Donald Trump Jr. said there was nothing to change as he left Congress after appearing before the Senate Intelligence Committee as part of the Republican-led panel's two-year investigation of Russia's interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump Jr. wrapped up a return interview Wednesday with U.S. lawmakers who questioned him about his contacts with Russians, with the president's eldest son dismissing concerns he may have perjured himself in his 2017 testimony. The 41-year-old appeared relaxed as he emerged from a 3-hour closed-door session with the Senate Intelligence Committee as part of the Republican-led panel's two-year investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Trump Jr., who helms the Trump Organization collection of businesses that his real estate billionaire father ran for decades, earlier told reporters there was nothing to correct from his previous comments to the committee. After his interview, he maintained he had been consistent in his testimony. Asked if he was worried about perjury, Trump Jr. responded, "Not at all." Trump Jr. undoubtedly faced questioning about his role in arranging a Trump Tower meeting in June 2016 that included White House advisor and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, Trump's then campaign manager, Paul Manafort, and a Russian lawyer offering dirt on Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. When we come back, EuroAsia Shorts 2019, weaving cultures together, one tale at a time. Eagle News Washington, D.C. will return shortly. This is Eagle News Washington, D.C. I'm Anna Klee. EuroAsia Shorts, a multi-embassy international film festival in D.C., weaves cultures together, one tale at a time. EBC's Eliza Gonzalez-Monglikmot shares with us some of this year's festival highlights. Take a look.
Set in the District of Columbia, it is described as an international cinematic dialogue that is uniquely Washingtonian. This year, with the theme Youth, EuroAsia Shorts brings to the U.S. Capitol short films about experiences of the young, some epic like life-altering events, others poignant as the start or end of a relationship, others still as edifying as overcoming a life of relentless poverty.
EuroAsia Shorts is a unique film festival in Washington, D.C. It's the only multi-embassy international short film festival in our area. That's a kind of a niche program, but of course the films are also very unique. And each year is a different theme. This year we have 11 countries participating. It's a combination of countries from Europe and Asia. We also have films from the U.S. tonight for the closing night, our big celebration. But the core of EuroAsia Shorts is a discussion, a dialogue between countries. So every night throughout the past week, we started a week ago, and this is the closing, every night has a dialogue, a discussion with speakers, discussants, because we want to talk about what makes these countries unique, what makes them different from one another, but what they have in common as well.
More than 30 short films about the youth from 11 countries were shown in just a week. Festival organizers agreed that, although created by filmmakers of diverse cultural roots, the movies each carried a universal message meant to bridge gaps and transcend the divide.
When we see homelessness, as we saw in the Philippine film today, we understand that homeless children is not just a problem in the Philippines, that we see that on our streets every day, and I think it helps build empathy. It helps us to understand that there are universal problems that we are encountering, that our youth are encountering, and hopefully it opens our eyes to the fact that this isn't just a problem elsewhere, that this is also a problem at home.
By its nature, film is really an inclusive, and I would have to say a universally appealing art form, and that's actually the impetus that encourage all of these embassies to come together and do this short film festival. But with a choice of a single theme, we try to present, our perspectives coming from our cultural traditions. As you said, bridging the different cultures is a goal, But another goal would have to be just to present your point of view, right, from the country where we came from. How the different cultures interpret the theme or interrogate the theme. So for us at the Philippine Embassy, this is a wonderful opportunity also to really celebrate the diversity of all the cultures in the world, especially those of the embassies that are represented in this festival.
When people watched, for instance, the film Rose Empire from Germany, or the film Follower, which is from Germany, you know, I mean, these themes could have just as easily been transplanted into one of the Asian countries showing films, and vice versa, I think. Although then, of course, the plots, you know, they would be shaped by, of course, the attitudes of the countries in which they are taking place. But I think still, what I think at the core of it is you have a major theme, and then you just sort of put it into this setting, and you say, okay, in this cultural like realm, like how would something like that play out versus in another country, and then when you look at it, I think all at once, the way we do when we screen these films, you realize that there are differences, but there are a lot of similarities as well.
Some entries this year were observed to lack suggestions of the youthful innocence and unadulterated joy typified by generations past, something that representatives of participating embassies said very likely mirrored the way young people around the world live today, or the sad truth that children of our times tend to grow up too fast.
To sugarcoat what's happening with the youth today would be to do them a disservice. We hear in the media constantly that this is the least optimistic generation, and that they are concerned about climate change, they are concerned about getting jobs, their futures, they're delaying having families because they don't necessarily know whether or not there's going to be a future for their own children. I think this is also something we see in previous generations as well, but this youth that are creating these films really, you know, they are showing the angst that they are currently experiencing and putting it up on the screen.
I think it's hard telling a sad story when the lead character or the main characters of the story are children, because it hurts our hearts so deeply. But I think that it's a very powerful way to tell a story, because people can empathize so quickly and so easily with children, and we have all had that experience as a child and seen things that maybe we shouldn't. I think it works. I think there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable seeing children in difficult stories, but I think that sometimes those are the most powerful stories to tell.
It's a roller coaster of emotion sometimes. And so for me, as long as it touches the audience, it resonates, it's relevant to them, they can relate to it, then I guess that's a successful film showing. And through the works of these young filmmakers from the Philippines and from Germany and from the other countries, that, you know, when it's the youth experiences things differently from us, and sometimes when we look back to our own youth, you realize your perspective just changed.
We don't want to put on a fake image or impression. So we get the films, and each year it's a little different. Sometimes the mood can be a little more positive or negative, but it's all an authentic experience. For example, this year we had youth. Interestingly, a lot of the films were a bit more adult topics, you know, coming of age, young adults, these things that are, you know, becoming an adult. So about youth, but not always for kids.
Created in an age when a viewer's attention tends to be pulled in many different directions, EuroAsia Shorts 2019, with some entries as short as 4 minutes, seeks to engage audiences in meaningful discourses on timeless subjects such as love, responsibility, honesty, failure, and the old-time favorite, heartbreak. Yes, indeed, film is a very inclusive art form.
That the one from the Philippines actually stood out to me because I identified with it the most.
I had a sense when I was watching the little kid get ready for school that was me when I was little. So watching the boy sort of pump the water to rinse his face, I instantly had a connection with him on that level. It brought back memories of sort of wanting to go to school, and I grew up in a homeless shelter, so the notion that school was an intangible goal. It was there. We're going to get there someday, and of course now I work on K Street, so it all seems ridiculous that getting an education wasn't something in my future. But I can identify with that little kid who sort of for me, once upon a time, getting an education was not something that you just kind of woke up and you did.
In all honesty, all the films were amazing, but the short film from the Philippines, I almost cried. I may cry now. It was really powerful.
Every year is exciting, every year is different. Maybe even more countries, we'll see. But, it's an annual tradition, first week in June here in Washington, D.C., and we're going to keep going. There's no way we're going to stop a program like this that is a win-win-win for everybody.
Screenings of these shorts from 11 countries were held at the host embassy venues. Countries paired together this year were Korea and Austria, Japan and Italy, Germany and the Philippines, Spain and Indonesia, France and China, and tonight, the final night, all 10 countries with the United States. Thus, this year's EuroAsia Shorts Festival bows out. From the Italian Embassy here in Washington, D.C., I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot for Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thanks, Eliza. Looking forward to next year's festival. That is today's Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Join us tomorrow for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on twitter.com/eaglenewsph and facebook.com/eaglenewsph. Thank you for watching. I'm Anna Kui, and I am 1 with 25.